Hello, everyone, and welcome to the webinar. We'll be starting at 1 minute after the hour while everybody's logging in. Thanks. Hello, everyone. We're excited you've joined us for today's session on 7 Touches, 7 Ways, Tips for Success in Higher Education Fundraising. A few housekeeping details before we get started. This session is being recorded, and you should receive a link to the recording and a PDF of the slides tomorrow by email. Please feel free to share this webinar content with colleagues that could not attend today. A question and answer session will immediately follow the presentation. If you have a question for our speaker, please type it into the questions box in your GoToWebinar panel on the right side of your screen. This webinar is hosted and sponsored by Suttle-Straus. Suttle-Straus was founded in 1910. Over 100 years, our company has built up the equipment and expertise to handle almost any marketing project. We offer creative design services, web, sheet-fed and digital printing, displays and signage, direct and transactional mail, a print-on-demand technology for distributed networks, along with kitting and fulfillment, and recently we just launched our promotional products offering. For more information, please visit us on the web at Suttle-Straus.com. Now I'd like to introduce our speaker for today. Debbi Peterson is the Senior Manager of Data and Production for Marketing and Communications at Wisconsin Foundation and Alumni Association. In this role, she manages print, direct mail, fulfillment programs, and any other tangible marketing touchpoints for large, complex fundraising campaigns. Debbi is a certified USPS mail design professional and was awarded the PCC Greater Madison Area Industry Person of the Year Award last year. Debbi, I'm going to hand it over to you. You can take it away.
Thank you. Before I get into how the Wisconsin Foundation and Alumni Association supports the UW-Madison through its integrated marketing campaigns, I'm going to give you some background on the organizations that have come to support the university, budget sources that affect expectations on fundraising, and then take a look at the resources not associated with marketing, but incredibly valuable to the success of our marketing efforts. This will help give some context and help connect the dots. The UW-Madison is a public land-grant university and research institute. It is ranked 25th in the academic ranking of world universities. Kiplinger ranks the UW 11th nationally. Locally, this world-renowned public university accounts for $15 billion annually in economic impact statewide for Wisconsin. That's huge, $15 billion. So it's easy to say that fundraising for this university is huge as well. What does it take to keep Bucky running? Well, it's a number of things. Here you can see the sources that contribute to the overall budget of the UW. Private gifts are highlighted in red because with the changing economic landscape and reduced state funding, private gifts are more important than ever. Let me explain. In the past, private gifts were like the frosting on the cake. The normal day-to-day operating requirements of the university were met by these other sources, and private gifts could be earmarked for special initiatives. Well, those good old days are gone. Over the years, there's been a progressive reduction in support and funding. So the day-to-day budget requirements needed for the UW to remain competitive and to maintain the current level of excellence has left a gap. Private gifts now are helping to fill in this gap in order to keep the UW operating at its high level. And now, private gifts are not only the frosting on the cake, but they're part of the cake as well. And as a result, fundraising has taken on an increased level of importance. This budget trend graphic is a visual way to see the dramatic shift or reduction of state funding over the years to the UW-Madison. State funding is the top orange line. In 1976, support was at 43%. Now, in 2018, we're seeing 14%. Quite a change over the last 40 years or so. The lower green line is private gifts and non-federal grants. In 1976, we're at approximately 6%. And you can see that over time, this source of income has increased to almost 18%. Tuition and federal have pretty much remained constant over the long term. So now let's look at the organizations that have come to partner with the UW. The Wisconsin Alumni Association goes way back to the early years of the UW-Madison, founded in 1861. Their mission is to connect the university to its alumni, alumni back to the university, and alumni to each other. WAA has always had roots in the fundraising efforts of the UW-Madison, helping to bring alumni leaders together who have helped create the Wisconsin Union in 1907, WARF, the Wisconsin Alumni Research Foundation in 1925, and the UW Foundation in 1945. Today, through its advancement programs, it continues to connect and serve more than 400,000 graduates and engages alumni through chapters and contacts in 100 cities around the world. Now, the foundation is not as old as WAA, but going back to the early beginnings, there were a number of alumni donors who wanted to encourage the practice of making gifts to the UW. They formed a Gift and Bequest Council. This council helped enable gifts to the university through the early years, and it was then with the help of WAA that this group eventually became the UW Foundation in 1945. The foundation is the university's development and financial partner. Each year, the foundation transfers gift and investment income to the UW-Madison. You can see in the slide what was transferred in 2018, along with the endowment value at the end of the year. Now, to be clear, whereas WAA's mission is alumni engagement. The Foundation's mission is to nurture relationships between alumni and schools, colleges, and departments on campus, including the Chancellor's Office, in all fundraising efforts. In 2014, the UW Foundation and WAA merged to create the Wisconsin Foundation and Alumni Association. This is the organization that I work for. These two independent private organizations was a brilliant move in bringing the two together into a cohesive organization to take fundraising to a new level going forward. The role of WFAA is to support the UW-Madison in fundraising efforts, gift receiving, and alumni engagement. Now, although fundraising efforts were not organized until the late 1920s, private gifts did occur. As early as 1865, the first gift was $100 from Governor Lewis. The idea of giving back was very much alive. It's in Badger DNA. But we like to say it's what Badgers do. Now, fundraising for the UW-Madison should be easy, especially when we have alumni with such passion for the university. You would think they would just be waiting for a call to action because, after all, it's what Badgers do. Well, truth is, only 10% of our alumni base of over 400,000 are actively engaged and give back to the UW. So why is that? Well, actually, we are not unusual. This is a trend that's being experienced across the nation with other higher ed public universities and nonprofits. But it's more than that as well. Sometimes we're so close to a cause that we forget that people are out there living their lives. They're taking care of their kids, going to work. They don't necessarily have the UW-Madison top of mind. They may have commitments to religion, health, social services, or other fundraising efforts. Some alumni aren't even aware that the UW is in need of private gifts. And some feel that the gift that they could make would be so insignificant, then why even bother? Now, these elements we need to consider in how we approach our alumni in hopes of increasing gifts and participation. But where do we start? Well, we start with looking in depth at our alumni, donors, and friends in all their splendid diversity. Who they are, where they are, what they're doing now, and how are they doing it. We say what they are doing now because even though an alumnus has a degree in one area, doesn't necessarily mean that that's where their interests lie or what area they want to support now. We say how because with changing technology, they may want to just receive communications via text messages and not receive email or phone calls or direct mail, or vice versa. It's these personal details that tie directly into how we reach out to them. And this is an essential element in the establishment of a marketing strategy and plan that directs and keeps efforts focused across all channels and tactics. 7 touches, 7 ways. Now, this is not a how-to-do checklist about 7 specific channels or tactics that you should adhere to in order to integrate an effort. But what it does impart is a simple reminder that when it comes to reaching out to a broad, diverse audience, repetition in a combination of different ways is more effective. For us, it's not just the demographic diversity of gender, race, age, religion, values, and attitudes. It's also communication preferences, the capacity to give, and the relationship details the alumnus has with the UW. Segmenting your audience to hone in to the details will better direct efforts in integrating communications. Now, to help with this, it's important to have the resources and capabilities that are responsible for data storage, input, and maintenance. These resources can provide unique reports so that you know how your effort performed, who responded, and then you can generate reports. Put that data to work in planning for future efforts. For WFAA, the merger between UW Foundation and WAA in 2014 plays a large part in how we do business now. But 2014 was even more significant because of ABE CRM. ABE, Advancing Badger Engagement. CRM, Constituent Relationship Management Database of Record for Donor Relations. Maintained by WFAA, this is the database that includes all UW-Madison alumni, donors, and friends. This is over 1 million records with active addresses, emails, phone numbers, employment information, and relationship details. The additional benefit is our data warehouse and BI, our business intel group, that provides reports and data files that feed directly into the development of campaign strategy, supporting direct mail, email, and badger call throughout our campaigns. And the beauty of this is that this is not only maintained by WFAA's in-house resources, but campus partners as well. All contribute to the richness and accuracy of the data on this platform. This was a difficult thing to accomplish. Being a decentralized campus is much different than a commercial business. It took a long time for campus partners to get on board and trust the effort. There was a lot of ownership in how things used to be done. It's hard to get out of that silo because there's a lot of fear around a change like this when it isn't completely proven out. But think about this. This is powerful stuff. The opportunities and possibilities with a system like this, it's like one ring to rule them all, because the stakeholders, which are the schools and colleges, development and advancement teams, the chancellor's office, and WFAA are all committed to this single source of information. And because WFAA is a private, independent organization that owns the database, our donor and alumni information is secure and not subject to public disclosure. And that's just brilliant. Another in-house resource I want to mention is CDP, the Constituent Data Processing Team. They do an incredible job for us in maintaining our constituent data. The team's #1 priority is focused on maintaining accurate contact and employment information of our alumni, donors, and prospects. We partner with the leading provider of employment information for our complete alumni database. And we also purchase deceased alumni information from leading providers to help keep records current. In addition to this, CDP runs NCOA weekly. This is National Change of Address. And this is incredibly valuable with the accuracy of our data files with our mailings and email and phone calls as well. This department updates over 1,000 addresses every week. And their efforts are affirmed by the acknowledgement from AccuZip reporting that our U.S. home address data is 99% deliverable. This team really ensures effective stewardship and accurate reporting. So now let's look at 2018 Fall Annual Campaign. The campaign runs from September through the end of the year. This is an all-campus campaign, and all the schools and colleges and the Chancellor's Office support the effort. This is a campaign where gifts are flexible and unrestricted, which means the schools and colleges have the ability to channel these gifts or dollars where the need is greatest. For example, many alumni have the impression that their $5 will not make an impact, but with unrestricted priority annual funds, if 1,000 people just gave $5 to, let's say, the nursing annual fund, the dean could then take those gifts of $5 and pull them together towards a specific need. With larger gifts, the donor tends to determine how the gift is to be used. So the focus for the annual campaign is on donors at a lower level of giving. We say that every gift matters, no matter the size. And that is why the schools and colleges love and support this campaign. Flexible, unrestricted dollars that can go to research, faculty support, and student experience. Here is the marketing mix for the 2018 Fall Annual Campaign. Top row are our core solicitation channels we developed for mail, email, and phone. They go the length of the campaign and have goals to be measured against. Videos were also produced for each of the 12 priority funds that support the campaign in a multitude of ways. Fill the Hill is a 24-hour effort that is considered a mini campaign within the larger campaign timeframe, so it's treated as an independent channel in itself. Our bottom row consists of paid advertising placements via social, radio, TV, digital, and print publications. So how did we get to this place? Well, our marketing team does a great job of reviewing past campaign history and data, along with other statistics and trends when we're looking at what we may want to do for a new campaign. Do we want to keep the status quo? How would we change it up? Maybe do some testing or change audience segments. All this plays into the strategy, goal setting, and selection of audience segments. It lays out a roadmap for the campaigns to be executed against. Here you see an example of a global marketing brief for the campaign. This is just a portion of a 5-page document that details all the elements that feed into the plan. And this includes business rules as well. The brief includes campaign name or description. What is the assignment? The objective, and how do we measure success? Communication priorities and creative considerations such as brand essence, promise, and plan. Target audience and questions such as, how does this improve the customer's life? Or how does this touch his or her life? These are emotional benefits. And we also include any other critical insights or truths. I can't stress enough how important it is to do this work. You need to be disciplined and resolute in making sure you have clear statements that point out the necessary requirements, processes, and rules. Your teams will thank you for it when they need to execute, because it's all laid out clearly on exactly what they need to do. The action plan then feeds off of the strategy that developed into the brief, and here we see the channels integrated into the overall timeline. Both the action plan and the global brief serve as the base for all the specific channel and tactic creative briefs and timelines. These then serve as a guide in generating the individual projects in our project management system. Again, these documents are key to establishing brand consistency with creative and the core message. All must work together by being thematically consistent across the board. So here you see how this translates into the direct mail plan. This follows the same format established by the marketing action plan, but in more detail. This is the entire overview of the direct mail plan for the campaign. On the left, you have audience segments, which is the breakdown of our alumni into groups such as 2018 grads, new donors, lapsed, retention, and so on. You see the number of mailings each segment will receive, and this varies because not all segments receive every mailing. And then there are versions of each mailing. This can vary from 1 to 12. Estimated counts. These fluctuate through the duration of the campaign because we suppress donors from further solicitations as soon as they make their gift, and that's across all channels and tactics. Now, at the top of the action plan, you see where the mail drops are spelled out with due dates for art and data, and drop dates with estimated in-home dates. Now, it's important to note that we have estimated in-home dates because direct mail for us sets the cadence for our other channels. So finally, you're seeing an actual direct mail piece. This is Mail 1, an invoice format with an informative insert. Very simple and direct. Through testing, we found this format works really well with our engaged alumni and outperforms more highly produced pieces like brochures and full-color booklets. The other format that performs just as well and is just as simple is a straightforward letter with a gift form. Now, everywhere you see blue is information that is variable and comes directly from an individual's record in the database. In step 2, the system looks at the person's last gift amount and applies a corresponding ask ladder. Similarly, in step 3, the system looks at the last gift the person made and fills in the corresponding fund name and number. In some cases where there is a household, there may be an additional gift that was made, so that is filled in as a secondary entry. Now, the finder number in the lower left corner is not only a number unique to this individual, but to this particular mail piece and campaign. In addition to filling out this form, there are two other options a person could choose to make a gift. Under step 1, to make a one-time or reoccurring gift online using a credit card, a URL is given. And on back of the gift form is a phone number in case the person would like to talk to someone for more information or to give their gift directly. And you'll see this consistently across channels, that we always give more than one option in how you can give for an opportunity or find out more information. An interesting thing that came to light through testing over the years is that we realized that you need to continue to ask. Don't assume that if a donor has given in the past that they will automatically continue to do so. They need to receive that call to action. It's kind of like the baseball saying, if you build it, they will come, except in our case it was, if you don't ask, they will not give. And that goes across all our channels. Here are mailings 2, 3, and 4. This is the other format that is very successful for us besides the invoice format, the letter with gift form. Regardless of the differences, there is brand consistency in look and tone. Mail 2 is a letter from the Chancellor, and it had 4 different content versions. Mail 3, a testimonial letter, had 2 content versions. Mail 4 had 12 content versions, 1 for each priority school and college, including the Chancellor's office. Now, although not shown here, Mail 5 was a test, a 50-50 split with half of the mailing receiving an invoice format like Mailing 1 and half getting a letter format like Mailing 2. They both performed equally well and affirmed our previous testing. The gift form variable data is consistent for all.
Now we're going to take a break and do a little bit of a poll. So get your mouse ready. We want to know, how much do you think direct mail accounts towards the UW Foundation and Alumni Association's overall campaign revenue and participation? So do you think direct mail was 10% of their fundraise, 25%, 50%, or 75%? They're doing multiple touches over multiple different kinds of media with mail, email, phone calls, and online ads. So get your votes in. We'll give you a few more seconds to answer the poll. See what people think. So it looks like the majority of people are guessing 25%. A couple guessed 50% or 75%. Nobody guessed 10%. So it looks like we got some direct mail fans on the line. So let's see what it was. So direct mail is a major driver for the campaign. It accounts for 49% of the overall campaign revenue and 42% participation. I've included a few audience segment counts to show you that we can pull results from the database to see audience performance along with the usual suspects. Looking at the results, I want to point out that the reason we have results is because of our processes.
the database and the resources that maintain accurate entry and maintenance, the unique reports that are generated from historical data, when married with statistics and trends, help to define the strategy that determines your audience segments, channels, and tactics. This leads to the global brief and action plan, the map to deployment, resulting in what you see here. This is the result. This is your reward for all your work. And what's even the best part of this then becomes your historical data. This is the data that you will use next year to help you guide the strategy for your future effort. So let's move on to email. Emails follow basically the same detailed grid as direct mail. There were 9 emails. The versions and audience segments varied, and the times of day vary to optimize open rate. The creative brief is also very similar to direct mail in its communication priorities and message strategy for the different alumni segments. Notice that the 3 examples above are consistent in tone and creative with direct mail. In some cases, email uses the same content as direct mail, just tweaking and reformatting it for email or mobile viewing. All 3 of these examples are communicating in a slightly different way, informative, testimonial, and final, giving us a sense of urgency for that end-of-year gift, but all are thematically consistent across the board. Now, it's not coincidence that the emails look like direct mail letters. Through years of testing, we have found the best response is when email emulates the direct mail letter format. Here you see a screenshot of what this email would look like on a mobile device. Same brand consistency with the other emails and direct mail. Results showing over 1.5 million delivered, open rate 26%, click-throughs approximately 76%. Next is Badger Call, our phone center. Badger Call is our in-house managed call center that's located on campus, on Library Mall, under the University Bookstore. The call center has 38 phone stations and maintains a pool of 80 to 100 student employees. For 32 years, students have raised more than $2 million a year for UW. The students call UW alumni and friends on behalf of the university in a conversational way. They share experiences, discuss new developments on campus, ask for financial help, and say thank you for gifts. To note, even though undergrad students are not included in any solicitations, this group serves as ambassadors in helping communicate the culture of philanthropy on campus through their social network and support of events like Fill the Hill and Day of the Badger. Now, if we take a look at the campaign calendar, we would see that just like direct mail and email, the calls are segmented by group or calling pools. As with the established campaign brief, past campaign phone results are reviewed and areas of improvement are earmarked going into the new campaign. This is like how to maximize the time on the phone when alumni do answer, or how to improve efficiency and fulfillment. These calls are not scripted, but the students are given info sheets with fast facts that serve as a guideline so they can be conversational using their own words. There is a transition At the end of the campaign, going into the new year, this group conducts thank you calls to those who have given during the campaign. Above are the results from the 2018 fall campaign. 1.29 million with over 16,000 contacts. Pretty amazing to accomplish that over the phone. They do such a great job for us. So let's move on to our 24-hour mini campaign, Fill the Hill. What began as a prank by the Pail and Shovel Party in September of 1979, filling the hill during homecoming weekend as part of the fall annual campaign has become a UW-Madison tradition. This 24-hour time period in which we promote the impact of gifts of all sizes. Alumni and friends are encouraged to fill the hill on Bascom by making a gift to the university via the annual campaign. For every gift made during this 24-hour campaign, a pink flamingo will be placed on Bascom Hill. As an incentive, gifts of $250 or more, the donor receives their own pink flamingo. Held during homecoming week, this is a fun day and brings a visual experience to those on campus, especially students, in communicating the culture of philanthropy. Fill the Hill is looked at as a mini campaign within the larger annual campaign. So it has its own detailed global marketing action plan and project creative brief. Just like the larger campaign, this maps out the marketing tactics, responsibilities, and programming steps. This mini campaign is a digital effort that incorporates 5 different emails starting the evening before the event and ending with a thank you email the day after. The website goes live as the first direct mail piece drops and is updated throughout the effort into the day after. Social media goes crazy on all social accounts and enlists the help of campus communicators by sharing posts and graphics. And advertising, as shown by the example above, has digital placements in campus publications. Supported by Badger Call, the call center is provided talking points that the students use during the calling period. The call center starts the evening before so that there are flamingos to place on the hill at 6 a.m. the next morning. Here are some examples of posts that were placed on Twitter and other social media platforms. And here you see the post-event thank you email and the late day email urging alumni to give because the goal is almost at hand. Results of over 1,000 donors with over $200,000 raised. Now back to the larger campaign, looking at advertising placements. We did 10-week flights for public radio and Wisconsin public television. Badger Sports Properties had digital as well as a radio run, and ad placements were placed in campus print and digital publications. Placements of various sizes appeared in the above publications. This slide is a little overpowering, and it's meant to just show you that all these digital examples are showing consistency across the board with branding and messaging. Stewardship and saying thank you. We are committed to our donors and make it a point to say thank you for gifts as soon as possible. The statements above say it very directly. Donors will receive prompt and meaningful acknowledgement whenever they give. Donors will get meaningful and measurable results on their last gift at work before being asked for another one. Donors will receive the highest level of financial accountability for their gifts and funds. We say thank you in a number of ways. We send postcards, letters, we place thank you phone calls, we communicate giving and impact via newsletters and campus publications, and social media features donors and the impact of philanthropy. We understand that exceptional stewardship is essential to our success. And just like many of you out there, customer service is key to your business, and it separates you from the other guys. To summarize, we've looked at the past and understand the partnership of WFAA with the UW-Madison. We reviewed essential resources that make the difference in the quality of campaign outcomes. We realized the importance that our audience has and how that pretty much directs what we do and how we do it. We saw the marketing steps from initial review of historic data, statistics, and trends used to form a strategy that enabled the generation of global marketing briefs, action plans, and audience segments. We've looked at executed examples across channels and tactics, seeing the thematic consistency in creative and core message. And we have seen results, which is the byproduct of all of the above, and what perpetuates the cycle. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie, for that informative presentation. We will now open it up for questions. If you have a question for our speaker, please type it into the questions box in your GoToWebinar panel on the right side of your screen. While everyone's submitting questions, I wanted to remind you that this webinar has been sponsored by Suttle-Straus. If you are looking for a trusted vendor to help guide you through your next print and mailing projects, please consider us and request a quote at Suttle-Straus.com. Well, I'll take a first question for you, Debbie. Do you see a difference between age groups and what touch they respond to? Are younger people responding through more email and the Fill the Hill social stuff, or are they doing direct mail?
Well, especially with new graduates or in their 20s, I mean, we are responding to them in a way through social to engage them through events like Fill the Hill and Day of the Badger, which we do in spring. Both, are 24-hour campaigns. This is empathetic because most younger audience members still have a lot of debt they're carrying, and to still encourage them to participate and engage with the university, to get them involved in a digital social event that isn't necessarily there's no solicitation necessarily for a gift, but just for participation. That seems to engage the younger segments better.
Tracy?
Hi, this is Teresa Aid, and I work at Suttle-Straus, and I've had the honor of working with Deb probably the last 4 years on her annual campaigns. And I think one of the great takeaways from kind of what the UW does specifically on your annual campaigns is, the importance of creating this global marketing brief and your action plan, the marketing action plan. I think for us as a vendor, having all that information given to us, you map out exactly what days you want all these direct mail campaigns to drop, so that stuff stays in line with all of your email blasts and phone calls. And I know there's times when you guys are marketing stuff that you're reaching out to us to just kind of find out budgeting wise what things may cost as you look to do different testing. So are you doing different testing kind of in every campaign, some sort of testing, A/B testing that you're doing all the time? You're constantly doing some sort of test,
Yes.
right? In every kind of marketing campaign that you in the fall and the spring.
Right. And so it can be, we've tested the open rate on the carrier envelopes. Does a red flap envelope intrigue somebody more so than a standard? Does a premium entice someone in an acquisition group to give? We're always using different content versions to address people in different ways. Email subject lines are always segmented out and tested to see what is pulling better than something else. So it's an ongoing process. It's just tweaking, and that's how over the years we got to the point where we saw that email formats that looked like direct mail letters were pulling better than emails with big, pretty pictures on, or videos. I mean, the videos were entertaining them, but they weren't converting. So as far as converting, which is not to say that that's a bad thing. I mean, that still is a touch and leaves an impression. And if you're just talking about, conversion of your tactic into a gift, that straight format works best. So it's constant testing.
And I think a key too is just your brand consistency. I think, that's one thing I noticed as you're going through this. One of the things that you hit upon a lot is the brand consistency between the direct mail and the emails and stuff on social, that it's very familiar. And as they see this multiple times, that brand is consistent across all of those channels.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So we have a question from Emily. She wants to know, does UW do all their own creative in-house, or are you outsourcing that creative work, design work for your campaign?
We have a very robust team. All the creative is in-house. And that includes, now we have, even including video, we're producing all of that from in-house resources now too.
Great. Karen was wondering, do you have a certain percentage of the money that's collected that's used to fundraise? So how much of what you raise goes to the cost of fundraising, and how much of it goes into the endowment?
Well, that is a different mix, because there is, when it comes to resources in-house, that those budgetary dollars come from a different source than, say, the endowment. And so, the budget for the campaign is established every year, but that is something outside of the endowment.
So it's not, the budget's not set particularly by the amount you're trying to raise each year.
Right.
It's just set in advance. All right, Rebecca wants to know, what's the relationship like between your marketing creative team and your annual giving team? Do the marketing folks do the audience segmentation, or do you work together to create the global marketing action plan?
Well, the annual giving team is part of the marketing group. So there's the team that's assigned, where we have, a designer, a writer, a coordinator, the project lead, but it's also the Chief Operating Officer of Marketing and Communications, and the big core team is the one that decides, comes together and talks about strategy. And then after that, there's brainstorming sessions. There's a lot of meetings that go into the final distilled marketing brief and actually what we're going to do and how we're going to time it out.
Is there anywhere you like to go for inspiration on something new you want to test, or where do your ideas for testing come from?
We look at Stanford a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They do things very well. We're always looking at what they're doing. So that's top of mind right now. Michigan too, a little bit too.
Yeah, do you ever see anybody doing things, I guess, in the commercial space that you adapt in the nonprofit space, or do you mostly look to other nonprofits to see their marketing strategies?
I think we look broadly. We always want to innovate, to be out there trying something new, but it's kind of hard, like, especially when you find that a straightforward letter performs the best, So a lot of like the really cool stuff that we save that for thank you or impact reports, or informing people of what their dollars are doing. So instead of like I said, through testing we found that color brochures and the booklets didn't convert well. So we still think there's value in that because they can tell a story and they can inform. And so that's what we save it for, is for our impact reports and stewardship.
Is there any cross-pollination between admissions and the kind of mail they're sending out, or athletics, or any kind of
different animal?
Different animal. Figure.
Yeah, there's a, it's like...
All right, well, we're at the top of the hour. That's all the time we have today for questions. If you have more questions you didn't get a chance to ask, you can email them to me at marketing@Suttle-Straus.com, and I can get back to you or connect you directly with Debbie. Everyone, watch your email tomorrow for a link to the recorded presentation and PDF slide set. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.